take a look at one of the stories that she brought to us, which is the universities ranking in Africa. Universities in Africa have been ranked by Times Higher Education, which provides coverage, global coverage for education. So in that list, Nigeria, no Nigerian university made top 10, but we had countries like South Africa, Egypt, Morocco in that list. I'm going to ask my gentlemen here and also speak to it. What happened? Why didn't we find any Nigerian university in that list, in the top 10? And we had to find Ahmadu Bello University, number 20. We do not know exactly the criteria for which that ranking was done, but if some universities in Africa made the list, then I think at least a Nigerian university should have made the list.
Well, I think it's quite unfortunate that we are falling really so low in terms of our education ranking. This is where, when Nigeria was a bride of all nations, and Europeans, Indians, Asians were coming to our shores to learn because the standard was high. But today, we can but say it without research, looking at all the products that you get off the system, that the standard of education in Nigeria has fallen real below bed. Now, you ask about the indicators. What is the higher education ranking organization looking at? They're looking at research, quality of your research, and asking, where are the groundbreaking research? They're looking at your success rate for your students who come out from your system. They look at the internationalization of your research and how much money is earning to your institution. Because universities are not just supposedly to be cost centers where people are pumping in money. Universities are supposed to be attracting grants to itself, to pioneer research, lead inventions. So once you put all these things together, you can see it within our space. What is happening, especially in the public universities in Nigeria, the rot is so bad. And again, no thanks to the union activities that shut down the system every now and then. And then, of course, our children are not finding real time for quality education. And I think it's so sad. But you also have multiplicity of private universities who are so struggling for funding to survive. And they can take anything just to keep standing. So these are all the things that we see in our space. And we really do hope that the current Minister of Education, though not an educationist, will himself prioritize what happened in our school system. So that, like Donald Trump said yesterday at WTO, Nigeria can return to the era of merit.
Okay, Pray, your thoughts.
Okay, in most aspects, I agree with what Doc has said. Research and development is key, and I think it's one of the yardsticks that the higher education ranking, and then not just that, other ranking institutions of global repute we use to measure if these universities can be accorded that respect, that acclamation, global acclamation. However, when we're bringing in appointing ministers of education, and when we are appointing, even at the state level, commissioners of education, these are some of the things we should look at. The ministers themselves, are they educationists? If they are educationists, we can look at their exploits in the arena of research and development. And I think every university should have a department that is dedicated to research and development. This is not because we want to be among the universities that will be ranked at the right place when other global institutions come ranking universities, but because of the products that we are churning out of our higher institutions. These products that we are churning higher, can they compete globally, even locally within the continent of Africa and globally? If they can't, then I think we have lots of work to do, and the government should make sure that we put the right things in the right place so that our policy direction as far as education is concerned is revisited every 5 years or every 3 years, as the case may be, most especially the way we have information and technology is changing the dimension of things at the global arena.
We've mentioned research as a key thing here. I went through some of the indicators. Like you rightly said, research was a big part of it. The research environment and also the research work being done. They looked at teaching. They looked at the teacher-to-student ratio, and also doctorate to bachelor ratio, and some other things, and even the international outlook. Now, I think a lot needs to be done. Was it yesterday you were talking about project work that have been done by universities and by several faculties within the university, and nothing really is being done with the research work? It's just like a requirement. And so once students are able to put down the paperwork, they come for defense, ask them a few questions, it ends there. Nobody takes it forward to say, this research work that you've done, can we test it? Can we try it out and see what innovation comes up from it? So there's a lot that is missing. It should not just be a process that people pass through, like if you're feeling all righteousness, but there should be an aim towards it, even not just for the students alone, but lecturers. There are funds that have been given, grants being given for research. We should begin to look at how those research work is affecting or impacting the educational system, and not just for people to use that as an opportunity to have that foreign exposure.
Yeah, but let me give you one example. And this was some few years ago. There was a wedding to happen in my church. And as I was coming into the church, I saw a car parked, and it was on a Saturday. And as I was walking in, I saw the door of the cars were open, and this man was on a singlet and was on the street. And I walked close, and I saw it was even my professor in the university. And I asked, what are you doing? He said, oh, I brought my daughter to a wedding rehearsal in church. So the wedding is tomorrow. But he was trying to read, somebody's dissertation that he was supervising right there inside the car. And my mind just went haywire. In this kind of an environment. And at that time, I remember he was the head of the department in my department in political science. He was in the postgraduate school. He was a member of Senate. He was a visiting professor to University of Ife. He was an external examiner in the University of Benin, and then some couple of other private universities where he's overseeing. One professor. How can this be healthy for a student? And I think at that time he was even the only professor in that department, because all the other professors were all adjunct professors who were retired, and they were coming into the system. And this is the environment our children are learning. And it's an A university in Nigeria. It's not just a mushroom university, a federal university, for that matter. And so you ask yourself this basic question. In other climes, you will see one man teaching postgraduates, doctorates, masters, doing irregular program for those ones they do in university to make more money, and having an army of undergraduate students. How they cope is even a problem for me as an individual. So in that environment, people can't do thorough work. And this is what has happened to our educational system. Now, even becoming or coming into the system is like a court. Some people have blocked it so that there are no new entrants. And this kind of environment I have just painted also make them not to be able to do deep research. You can imagine that you are supervising over 1,000 students.
So what time do you have to thoroughly supervise the work?
To supervise the work, do your own personal research, and write papers that can enter into international journals.
All right,
so citation become a problem, really.
The good thing is that today is International Day of Education, and we'll be looking in depth into the challenges with education in Nigeria. And since the theme is AI and education, we'll be looking at what changes, what improvement AI can bring to the education system.